This is a presentation on MLA 8 formatting, which admittedly is a little bit boring, but I give you this presentation because of a professor I had in college who completely embarrassed me because I didn't know how to do MLA formatting. So this was my sophomore year professor, Dr. Bowen. He was an amazing teacher. He called me into his office, pulled up my research paper on his computer, pointed at my citation and said, "What is this?" And this was like a 100-person class. My citations were so bad, they drew so much attention that he actually asked me to come to his office. The whole point of knowing how to do formatting is to not make yourself stand out and look stupid. And so that is why you should be listening to this presentation. So MLA just stands for Modern Language Association, and it's a style. It's often used in English classes at the high school and college level, and there are different versions. You'll use APA, which is not MLA, but that is a different version you would use in a science class and sometimes in a graduate school level. So MLA basically just tells you how to format things like double spacing, margins in a document, text size. It tells you how to do an in-text citation, so those parenthetical citations where you do the author's last name in parentheses. And it also tells you how to set up a works cited list. That's sometimes called a bibliography, but MLA calls it a works cited list. And so it's supposed to be just a standardizing feature so that readers kind of know what to expect and what to look for when they read an academic paper. So MLA just came out with the 8th edition handbook. It's actually been about 5 or 6 years now, and they tried to basically keep things more simple, give a few more options for citing sources, and make what you have to write down, what you're required to write, useful. And that's what we're looking at today. But the number one most important rule is you have to follow your instructor's guidelines. So for this class, that is me. But basically, if your teacher says use 11-point font, and that's not MLA, use 11-point font. They're grading you. If your teacher says whatever font you want is fine, then do that. That is the most important thing. You've got to kind of play to your audience. All right. So how would MLA tell you to set up a paper? Number one, they'd tell you to use standard size paper, to double space because it makes it easier to read. And they tell you to use 12-point Times New Roman or similar font. I basically would say use 12-point font that you could picture in a published book or newspaper. If it looks like it could go in a newspaper, it's fine. Don't use Comic Sans. It tells you to leave only one space after punctuation, but nobody's checking. It talks about the margins being 1 inch on all sides. That's pretty standard when you open a Word document, so you don't need to check those. And it tells you to indent the first line of a paragraph 1/2 inch. That means using the tab key. Here's the thing that drives me crazy, and again, I'm your instructor. You should be, for paragraphs, hitting enter after your last line and then tab. Don't hit enter twice. That's called block formatting, and that's technically for a business letter. You should be indenting paragraphs in a formal paper, and there shouldn't be spaces or gaps between your paragraphs. So MLA papers have a standard header as well. I have already set this up for you in your template, but basically often they'll encourage you to have page numbers in the upper right-hand corner of your paper, often your last name space page number. It asks you to use italics for titles of wholes, like title of a website, title of a book, title of a newspaper, and it will have you actually, italics are for big titles and quotation marks are for smaller pieces of wholes. So you'd put quotation marks around a poem that's part of a whole book. You'd put quotation marks around a title of a chapter. You'd put quotation marks around the title of a single story in a larger newspaper. And then MLA also has you do that works cited on a separate page at the end. We're not going to worry about endnotes, but I can show you how to do those if you are interested. So the first page of any MLA paper, basically I'm going to look at it. It should be double spaced. It should have a very standard header, your name, teacher's name, course, and date. I set that up for you. You usually center your paper's title, and then you create that header with your last name and the page number. That's also set up in your template, but take some time this week and add that in. Add your paper title, which is supposed to be the question that your paper is investigating, and make sure that you update that kind of basic format with your name, my name, the course, and date on that title page. I already have the basics set up for you. So this is what a standard MLA header looks like if you don't have a title page. You guys do have a title page.